Hello my friends and fam, my name is Chloe. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell to notify you when I upload a new video. So we are halfway through the presidential highlights videos, and we are on part 2 of Theodore or Teddy Roosevelt. So this is his second term in office. I believe it's 2 terms, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's the second half of his 1 term in office, because he served from, no, let's see, wait a minute. I could be wrong. Let me just go back. Nope, it was his second term of office. Okay. So, if you recall, this term will be from 1905 to 1909. His vice president was Charles Fairbanks. Now, in my other video, part 1 of Teddy Roosevelt, I had mentioned some things that I said, make sure that you remember that because that'll come up later. Those items will come up in today's, excuse me, I've been drinking pop. Those items will come up in today's video. So, I remember I also said that I was going to let you know the relationship between Teddy Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt. So I looked that up. And Teddy and FDR were 5th cousins, but here's where it got interesting. Teddy Roosevelt and FDR's wife Eleanor Roosevelt were uncle to niece. So how does a 5th cousin and a niece of Teddy Roosevelt get married? They were obviously related to each other, so that I found very, very interesting. So let's just get into this. So February 4th, 1905, Roosevelt was inaugurated. It was his first full term as president. April 17th, 1905, Lochner versus New York. Supreme Court rules the state laws limiting working hours were illegal. The Industrial Workers of the World also happened on that day, April 17th. The IWW, as they were known, forms in Chicago to counteract the Conservative American Federation of Labor, or the AFL. July 11th, 1905, the Niagara Movement and the NAACP. It was a group of black intellectuals, along with W.E.B. Du Bois, meet near Niagara Falls demanding racial equality. The NAACP, I'm sure you've heard that term, it stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So now you know what NAACP stands for. September 5th, 1905, Portsmouth Treaty. Russia and Japan sign it, ending the Russo-Japanese War. Russian and Japanese War. Roosevelt mediates it, urging an end, meeting in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The president wins the 1906 Nobel Peace Prize for this, and that also is a little bit later in this video. January 16th, 1906, the Algeciras Conference. I could be pronouncing these names wrong, so again, don't crucify me for it. Teddy hopes to mediate the disagreement between France and Germany over Morocco. April 13th, 1906, the clashes in Brownsville, Texas. After white civilians taunt black soldiers, 3 whites are killed. April 18th, 1906, San Francisco earthquake. It kills 452 people, levels 490 blocks, and I did look this up. It was a 7.9 magnitude earthquake. So, pretty major. June 8th, 1906, the National Monuments Act establishes the first 18 national monuments, which includes Devil's Tower, Muir Woods, and Mount Olympus. June 29th, 1906, the Hepburn Act. Now, if you remember, this is what I talked about in part 1. It gives Interstate Commerce Commission increased power to regulate the railroad rates. June 30th, 1906, the Meat Inspection Act, and Pure Food and Drug Act. Legislation calls for both honest, let's see, looks like it had honest, but it must be honest statement food content on labels. When I write really fast, so, and sometimes I write kind of small. So legislation calls for both honest statement food content on labels, the federal inspection of all plants engaging in interstate commerce, and the Journal reporting on meatpacking plants was written by Upton Sinclair, which was read by Teddy Roosevelt. August 23, 1906, Cuban President Thomas Estrada Palma asks Roosevelt to send U.S. troops to Cuba to break up the rebellion over the election. September 22, 1906, Atlanta, Georgia, the race riot. It leaves 21 dead, including 18 blacks. And again, I mean no disrespect to any race. I'm just writing it down the way that I'm seeing it on this website. September 29, 1906, the Platt Amendment invoked over Cuba. It authorizes U.S. military control of Cuba. William Howard Taft, which later became our president, serves as the governor. November 6, 1906, Republicans gain a seat. So 4 seats in the Senate, which puts them at 61 over 31. In the House, they lose 28 seats, but they still have control, 222 to 164. The National Labor Movement gets involved, and Samuel Gompers and American Federation of Labor, or AFL, issues Labor's Bill of Rights. That all happens on November 6th. November 9th, 1906, Roosevelt visits Panama. So the president and first lady were the first sitting president to visit Panama to inspect the building of the canal. December 10th, 1906, Roosevelt is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, which I kind of already talked about. December 12th, 1906, Strauss appointed to Commission and Labor. I think it's Commission. I just put COMM, so... Oscar Strauss of New York City heads it. He was the first Jewish American to hold the post. January 26, 1907, campaign finance restrictions. Congress passes prohibiting campaign contributions to candidates for national office. February 8, 1907, reaching the agreement with Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic and the U.S. signed the treaty. It allows the U.S. agents to collect Dominican customs taxes and to satisfy nation's creditors. The Senate ratifies it on February 25th. February 20th, 1907, Immigration Act of 1907 includes provision to allow the president to restrict Japanese immigrants. March 2nd, 1907, the strong arming for forest... Strong arming for forest reserves. So Teddy establishes the new forest reserves in 6 western states. That doesn't make sense to me. Strong arming? I'm not sure. Whoever's texting me will have to wait. February 14th, 1907, Inland Waterways. The commission formed. The study relationship between forest preservations and commercial waterways. March 21st, 1907, political disturbances in Honduras. U.S. Marines land there to protect life and property. June 15th, 1907, the Second International Peace Conference. It opens at The Hague in Netherlands, Hague, not the animal. U.S. fails to establish a world court. October 22nd, 1907, the Panic of 1907. We haven't heard about a panic in a while. Shares of United Copper Company begin to fluctuate wildly. Rumors about Knickerbocker Trust Company run on New York banks. So it was kind of like, oh, we're going to have like a depression, like the Great Depression. So there was a panic back then about finances. October 23rd, 1907, Teddy returns to Washington, D.C. He was on a hunting trip. He comes back to deal with the Secretary of Treasury, George B. Cortelyou, to dispel rumors of financial crash. $68 million is distributed. November 16th, 1907, Oklahoma becomes a state. So it's the 46th state. We haven't had a state enter the Union in a while. And I did some research on that too, so I think I'll make that a separate video about when each state became a state. And something I learned about that is that Hawaii and Alaska didn't become states until the 1950s. Didn't know that. December 16th, 1907, the Great White Fleet. It embarks on a trip around the world from Hampton Roads, Virginia, and it returned successfully on February 22nd, 1909. So it took them 2 years to sail around the world. February 3rd, 1908, Lowe versus Lawler. The Supreme Court rules antitrust law applies to labor unions. February 18th, 1908, restricting Japanese immigration. U.S. and Japan reach an agreement. Japan won't issue more visas to Japanese laborers. May 13th, 1908, the first conference of governors at the White House discusses problems of conservation. May 28th, 1908, child labor law. Congress passes it for D.C. Now, I thought that the Newsies strike had to do with child labor law, but apparently not. June 8th, 1908, the National Commission for Conservation of National Resources. Roosevelt established it, and it was headed by Gifford Pinchot. June 16th, 1908, Republicans nominate William Taft and James Sherman as his vice president. Henry Cabot Lodge praises Roosevelt at that time. Democrats nominate, on the same day, Democrats nominate William Jennings Bryan with John Kerr as the vice president. Now, I know you remember that William Jennings Bryan has been nominated before, so this is his third time being nominated. William Bryan, it was his third time to be nominated. September 16th, 1908, General Motors Company, Inc. Incorporated takes place in Hudson County, New Jersey. October 1st, 1908. October 1st, 1908, Ford introduces the Model T. Now, you know how much cars cost nowadays, especially the super high-priced, fancy schmancy sports cars. This one costs a mere $850. It makes Henry Ford mass-produced cars affordable to the average wage earners of the time. November 3rd, 1908, William Howard Taft was elected. The electoral votes were 321 to 162. In the Senate, Republicans lead 61 to 32. In the House, the Republicans lead 219 to 172. February 12, 1909, the NAACP was formed, and W.E.B. Du Bois and Oswald Garrison formed it. February 18, 1909, the North American Conservation Conference convenes in the White House, or at the White House. March 4th, 1909, Taft was inaugurated, and Roosevelt leaves for a year-long African safari. So, now we are on to William Howard Taft, who was our 27th president. He will be at least 2 videos, because he had a lot of stuff happen during his time in office. And in one of his videos, because he served from 1909 to 1913, it will likely not be in the first video, but second or possibly third, depending on how much I can get in the first video, first part. I will have a visual aid. Like I said in part 1 of Teddy Roosevelt, I collect old newspapers, and I actually went through them last night, and the sinking of the Titanic happened during Taft's time. And I actually have a newspaper, which is a copy, but it looks like a legit newspaper because it's yellowed and everything, but I guess still got to be careful with it. So I will have a copy of the actual paper that was printed when the Titanic sank for you to see, which is really, really cool. So, and I think it's from a Boston newspaper, which would make sense because it was heading towards New York. We all know the story about the Titanic. When I looked it up on his list of key events, it just mentioned that the Titanic sank. It didn't give a lot of detail about it, but we all know what happened, especially if you watch the movie Titanic. So, if you want information about that, comment below. I can certainly look it up and include it in Taft's highlight video whenever it comes up, second, third video, whatever. So we are now on to William Howard Taft, which is our 27th, was our 27th president. So we are more than halfway through. Hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Share them with your friends who want to know American history, especially about presidents. So hope you guys are all staying safe and healthy and sane. And it seems like America has calmed down since Biden took office. I've been checking, and they still don't have any information up yet about Trump's time in office, but I imagine that'll take a little bit of time for them to put that information up, seeing as how he just left office like 2-3 weeks ago. So they're probably still compiling stuff from the end of his term. I'm not sure exactly how this website collects the information and how they put it up or when they put it up or whatever. So, but we still have a ways to go before we get to Donald Trump. Thank goodness. So come back tomorrow or whenever I put up the Taft video. Sorry I didn't put one up yesterday, but me and Sea-Dog were kind of busy running errands and stuff. So come back tomorrow for the Taft video, and I will do a separate video about when each state was put into the Union, as it were, became a state in the United States. Because I have a whole list of that. I wrote that down last night, so because I was kind of curious as to when that all happened. So wrote all that stuff down. Hope you're enjoying these. You guys, class is dismissed, and you guys have a sunny day. Bye!